and technological advantage achievement has been formal, including 14 utility model patents and 5 software copyrights and 3 actual imitation patents and 3 more patents were applied for in May and June last year. This scientific and technological achievements has been internally transformed and applied to the company's wear-resistant achievements and heat-resistant, corrosion-resistant, and machine product innovation and production process improvement and production equipment upgrade. We attached importance to establishment of system standards and the steadily promoted R&D, manufacture and sales business systems in the strict accordance with ISO management system standards. At past, it has passed ISO 9001 equipment management systems certification and ISO 14001 and 2015 environment management system certifications and the OHSAS 18001 2007 Operation Health and Safety Management System certifications and passed GBT 29490 2013 standards intellectual property management system certifications. We have 6 important mutual international websites promoted by Google and Baidu, 4 well-known B2B platform websites, and open up the whole network marketing channel from the international search technology, B2B platform operations to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and YouTube, and other social platforms. Now let me tell you 2 mental products. Please look at the screen. The first part is the professional suppliers of wear and heat corrosions, castings and forgings, and machines and protective items from China.
Yes.
This is the ISO 9001 certifications, which I told you last moment. As you can see, my company has passed the occupational health and safety management system certificate, which is GBT 45001 2002 and ISO 45001 2018 requirements and the and there are other championship we have win from China or outside. This is educated suppliers from the made in China in home and Wuxi internal billets and low casting and forging point limited. And there are the catalog of our companies has wins. The first is good teamwork and the other championship. Look at the screen. There are some of our patents from 22 we have updated in last year's. Our companies then use technology support. We have distinguished heat wear resistant experts at home and abroad, which are engaged in research of heat and wear materials and innovations of heat and wear resistance casting products. We have cooperated with China Heat Treatment Association to develop various high temperature alloys, and we have cooperated with Tianjin Cement Research and Design Institute to improve the production of cement milling with our boltless linering technology, and we have cooperated with Shanghai Silicate Research Institute under China and accommodate of science to develop the chemical boltless liners. And the foundry introduction. We have workshop for castings, forging, stapling, and plant fabrication, and machine with 2,000 tons fabricate. And the production process is the installment casting process to produce high precision castings, and the centrifuge casting process to produce the radium tubes, furnace rollers, rings with nickel base and cobalt base, and the white iron, high manganese steel, and copper, and the center process to make middle and high castings with stainless stone, steel, and ceramic and mobile alloy steel, and white irons, butylate, and green iron. So we have some testing equipment. First is spoke trimeters, and second is the UT testers and MT testers, PT testers, and table handlers testers for HBN, and table handlers treaters for the HRC, and portable harness treaters, and impactor for the smoothness testing and the universal materials testing machine and the metal group we call the microscope. And the 5 pictures on the screen is to show you our production's activities. And the high treatment corrosion anodes, there are 2 castings. So one is nickel-based anode castings, which is the table is STM A494 and CZ100 and M3501 and M352 and M30H, the M25S and M30C and the Heteroinconia and the Romania, and the cobalt-based anode castings is cobalt 50 or 50, and the stellate anode. This is one of our nickel-based anode castings we produced before. And this is cobalt-based anode castings. For the materials grade for the heat steel materials, there are about 13 types. First is the 1.4823. The carbon is stand for 0.35 to 0.50, and the senior is about 1% to 2.5%, and the manganese is less than the 1.550, and the fusation is less than 0.035, and the thin film is less than 0.30. The chromium is about 25 to 28%, and the nickel is about 3.5 to 5.5%. And the others is heat resistance fumes. The table is about ASTM A297 and A297N 927. The table HF is the type we usually called is the 19 chromiums and 9 nickels. The carbon is about 0.2 to 0.40, and the manganese is about 2%, and the thickness is less than 2%. And the chromium is usually between the 18% to 23%, and the nickel is between the 8% to 12%. And the ammonia is less than 0.5. Here is the table of the materials of our heat castings. Look at these 4 pictures. both of them are our heat treatment tools. We supply heat treatment parts from Electron and Hispania and Dongwu and iClean and Fenton. And these four pictures is our heat treatment basket. The next, which you can see on the screens, is our heat resistant steel plants for the frozen lime cement project. The high conium white arrows. The cells are designed for high abrasion performance. The 80 will replicate is 4 times as much as that of high managers steels and 5% of low anode steels. The HRC is about 52 to 65. AK5 15G. Let's tell you two of our menthol products. The first is our menthol powders. Here is our catalog of our menthol powders. The first part is about our nickel powders, and the second part is our aluminium powders, and the third part is our copper powders, and the fourth part is cobalt powders. Let's begin our first part of our nickel powders. As you see on the screen, the picture is our nickel powders, which you see is like this black. As the menthol pigment with mentholic nickel as the main component, including nickel powders and flake nickel powder, as you can see from the pictures. And the nickel powder is distilled and purified. And the flaker nickel powder is made of high nickel powder. In the processes of suitable lubricate and the liquid manure is ground with a steam bowl in the bone mill to form a flake of suitable thickness. The color on the shape of our nickel powder is green irregular powders, and it is easy to oxidize in the honest air. And which we can do use of these nickel powders. We can use these powders to prepare the no frost alloys and high treatment resistant and antioxidant materials and genetical materials, and can also be used as hydrogenations anti-elastic for the chemical reactions. And the packing of our nickel powder, we usually pack it with the protective gas-landed plastic bags and cloth bags and iron drums. Here are some photos of our nickel powders. This is our packing of our nickel powders, as you can see on the screens. Usually it has plastic bags and there's metal drums. And, this is the test report of our nickel powders. As you can see, the standards of the nickel is about 99.77 is purity. And the next part is our aluminium powders. As you see on the screen, the photo is our aluminium powders. The aluminium powders, commonly known as silver powder, that is silver, metallic pigment, and a small amount of lubricate is added to polyethylene foam and crushed into clay powders and then polished. As we know, usually the color of our aluminium powders is silver white metal powders. And we usually use the aluminium powders for paintings, links, and fireworks. And we usually pack it with protective gas-limited plastic bags, clothes bags, and iron drums. As you see, the photos are our aluminium powders. This one is aluminium powders which packed in the limited plastic bags, and another is packed in iron drums. Here are our test report of aluminium powders. As you can see here, the standard of our aluminium powders is about 99.19. The third part is our copper powders. Usually there are two types of copper powders. The first is pure copper powders, and another is copper anode powders. Usually copper anode powders is copper mixed with zinc powders. As we know, copper powders usually looks like yellow and oranges, and the purity copper powder is like red. So the more purity of the copper powder is, the color will be more darker, and the production process of the copper powder is divided into electrical method and atomization method and reduction method. Now the most used method is atomization. As we know, the color of copper powders usually is red, and the copper anode powder is yellow. We usually use copper powders to the powder managers and diamonds, tools and sealing materials. The electrical copper powders heat conducting materials and conductive materials and welding materials and super hard materials and friction materials and pharmaceutical and the chemical industries. The package of the copper powders is usually like the aluminium powders and other powders which I told you before. Look at the photos. So first three photos is pure copper powders, and the next three pictures which you see is yellow is our copper anode powders. Here is purity copper powders test report. As you can see, the copper is analyzed is about 99.9, and this is our copper anode powders which test report. The copper is thin about 60%, and the zinc is about 39%. The first part is our other powders. This is real materials for productions of our cobalt powders. This picture shows is cobalt oxalate. The color of our cobalt powders usually you see in the photos is in green, and it is used as metallurgical products such as cementing and Cambridge and dimensional tools and heat treatment anode. Magnetic materials and chemical products such as rechargeable batteries and industrial listings, engines, rocket foam and medicine. The copper powders we usually packaged with iron drums or the plastic box. These 6 pictures is our cobalt powders. As you can see, they usually is green and packaged in the iron drums. Here is the size compressions table of our powders. As you can see, if the powder is 2 mesh, usually it is about 8,000 millimeters. And we have other powders we processed. The first picture is Mentioners powders. The secondly is titanium powder, and the third is iron powder. The fourth is our Aluminium Powder. And the fifth is our Magnesium Powder. The sixth is our Chromium Powder. And the seventh is our zinc powders. Do you want to know about our cocoa powders? Please send an inquiry to our Alibaba Performance. Thank you very much. Let me tell you different mental powder products we processed. It is usually the cobalt basic bowls. First, you can see two pictures. The first one is our cobalt-based bowls, and the second is our usually iron mining bowls, which used in the mining industries. The first is our titanium bowls, which diameter is usually between 25 to 120 millimeters, and the materials is usually grade 2, usually aka TA2, and the grade 5, aka TC4, and the second part is casting bowls, which diameter usually is 12.7 millimeter, 15 millimeter, 17 millimeter, 200 or 20 millimeter, 13 millimeter, 14 millimeter, 15 millimeter, 16 millimeter, 17 millimeter, 18 millimeter, 90 millimeter, 100, 110, 125, 140, 150 millimeter. The material usually is chromium, which divided in chromium 2, chromium 10, chromium 12, chromium 15, chromium 17, chromium 26, and so on. Now let me tell you the first part of the titanium, and its alloy. Usually they are characterized by lighter wear, high strength, stronger heat resistance, and corrosion resistance. It is known as the metal of future. It is a new structure materials with a promising future. Titanium is widely used in medical constructions and automobile industries. Because of its good corrosion resistance and heat resistance and high special strength and the low density. The applications of our titanium bowls. The first application is in the chemical industries. Due to its reactors, heat discharge, the reactors, concentrator, and the barrels, anti-corrosions, chemical sorceries, striking, shift, display and some parts. The secondary applications is mainly used for surgical implants and other medical materials. It can also be used for the car parts, bicycle models, and building forms and decoration. As you see, the photos is our titanium balls, which are shining. The diameter of these pictures is 10 millimeters, which grade is grade 2, aka TA2. The titanium balls can be used for different purposes according to their materials and the specification. They can be used for the jewelry and human punctures due to its diameter to 10 millimeters. They can also be used in the medical industries, and the materials is the TC4, DLI. It also called the chromium 23. The photos which you can see on screens is our testings and packing. Usually we test its diameters. As you can see, the titanium bolts which we test, the number is 34.9 millimeters. And say both of them are packed in the case. As you can see, the titanium balls which in my hand is the grade 2. They're also called the TC2. That's processing into round black balls and then grilling out 7 degrees of roundness after milling, polishing. The surface will achieve the mirror effect. This is the titanium balls which be milling to the mirror effects. That's the process of it processed. And here is quantity catalog certifications of our titanium balls. This is grade 2 designations. The standards of the chemical compositions. The error is about 0.11. The cobalt is between 0.8 to 0.013. And the balanced elements is titanium. Which you see the photos on the screen is the quantitative classifications of our titanium balls, which remain tensile stress. The method is about 895 million part, and the repeat 0.2 yield strength. The minimum is about 828 million part. There's A4D legislation. The minimum percent is 10. And this is our price list of the titanium bolts. The first list is grade 5 unique price. As you can see, for example, titanium bolts which diameter is 3 millimeters. It costs $0.14 a piece. And the grade 2 materials titanium bolts for 4 millimeter is called the USD 0.13. And there are the price list of the diameter which is bigger than the before. For example, the diameter is 40 millimeter. If it is the grade 5 materials, it usually costs $33 for per piece. If this materials is grade 2, it just costs $27 piece. And the next part is our other bolts, which for milings we usually call it is casting bolts. The Aluminium yellow casting bolts, the Aluminium white casting, iron grinding bolts, and the Aluminium steel bolts, and the simple old Aluminium bolts. Most domestic wear resistance materials enterprises are mainly based on the intermediate frequent electrical furnace. By smelling the high quality screw and the chromium alloy materials after reasonable matching, and the micro alloy and the temperature, the molten iron, and adding unique metal models and the sand models, casting modeling process, then after high temperature punching and temperature treatment to obtain 10-30 materials in order to achieve higher hardness and wear resistance. The high chromium alloy casting bolts are widely used in powder preparation and ultra-fine deep process of industries such as cement building materials and metal miners, the coal slurry, ceramic powder, and chemical energy, and the ceramic coatings, like industries, paper-making, energetical and materials, and other industries. The product has high hardness, low abrasions, and good toughness and less corrosion. During use, the surface hardness of the software will be further improved, and the wear resistance will be enhanced. At the same time, the production critical of the nylon will be improved, and the simplified surface area of the cement and the recovery rate of consumption will be improved. In terms of chemical composition, there are thousands of different materials from low chromium to high chromium, which can be described as a wide varieties. In order to standardize the industry standards and let people have a clear understanding of chromium alloy casting bowls, the GBT 17445 2009 National Standards for Casting Grinding Bowls stipulates that the low chromium bowls chromium content is about 1% to 3%, and the hardness HRC is more than 45, and the multi-pay alloy chromium content between 4% to 6%. The hardness HRC is more than 47. Medium chromium alloy chromium content between the 7% to 10%. The HRC is more than 48. The high chromium alloy chromium content is more than 10%, so that the hardness is more than 58. The special high chromium bowls with chromium content exceeding 14%, the hardness is more than 58 HRC. The most of grinding medium used by countries' cement industries are mainly high chromium bowls. With the continuous development of cement grinding technology and the specific surface area and finish requirements of cement are most than beneficial. As a cement company, it is particularly important to select the correct materials for grinding body. The razor body with high abrasion resistance not only improves the grinding efficiency, reduce the time of stopping and replenishing the ball and the number of opening and closing, while maintaining the grindation uncharged for a long time, but also extends the cleanliness product and reduce the labor intensity of workers. It is of great significance to produce at the table insurance the quantity of reserve and reduce the powder consumptions and the consumption of grinding body. Here is the price list of the chromium casting bowls. If the diameter is 100 millimeter, The unit price is about $1,069 per ton. This is all for our grinding bowls and titanium bowls. Today I told you two products. The first is our copper powders. The first type is the copper powders. The next is aluminium powders. And the second is cobalt powders and other powders we processed before. And the second part is our titanium bowls we processed and the grinding bowls we processed. The titanium bowls is usually for the industries, and the grinding bowls is usually for the mining industries. Most of them have wide useless from today to future. So if you have any inquiry about our copper powders, like metal powders or the titanium bowls or the grinding bowls, please send us an inquiry to our Alibaba Performance. This is all for my two speech. This is all for my two speech. One for the metal powder and another for the bowls, which is titanium bowls and grinding bowls. Thank you for your listening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your watching, and see you next week. Wish you have a good weekend. See you later.
Okay, thank you. So we are EB where?
We are EB hate.
Yes, EB hate. Okay.
We are EB cobalt alloy balls.
Okay.
We are EB5.
EB machines. 在这里，你把那个拿着，它的 EB machines。
We are EB machines. Okay. We are EB machines.
OK， 来重来一下哈，来。We are EB where?
We are EB hate.
We are EB cobalt alloy balls.
We are EB machine. We are EB5.
OK, we are EB China. Thank you.
See you next week. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.